Hello everyone, and welcome in this new recording. Today I will give you a quick overview on the TerrainView8 release, and we'll be discussing the new features introduced in this version. As you can see on screen, the most significant change is the introduction of the ocean surface. And in fact, for this release, I've been mostly working on implementing the initial version for the Ocean and then tweaking the display to provide some minor improvements. First thing, as usual, if you navigate in your browser at this link, you can in fact run this demo application on your side if you have support for WebGPU. It's taking a bit of time to start up, but then you should get exactly the same display as what we have in the native version of the application here. So for this demonstration, I'm not going to use the web version of the app, and instead I'm just going to use the native version so that if I need to give you a quick demonstration of how we can tweak the shaders, then we could use the live reload feature, which is of course not really available in the web version. To start with this, I guess we can just go through the new settings introduced in the control panel here. The first new entry is the wind speed, so we can control the wind speed at, I think it's 10 meters above the ground level, and this value is used to tweak the computation of the ocean wave spectrum and then of the ocean waves themselves after the Fourier transform. But yes, before we go through this, I should probably mention that the ocean display is of course based on the Eric Brunnerton paper concerning the realistic ocean rendering, so this is still part of the ProLand framework itself. So now let's just try to modify the wind speed. The range is starting at 3 meters per second. This is a minimal value allowed from the original implementation itself. In fact, I think we can go a little bit lower than that, like 2.6, but if you go much lower, then you're going to break the model itself, and it's producing NaN values, so it's just not displaying anything anymore. So that's why I'm just fixing this value to 3 for the moment. And if we try to increase that slowly, you will see that the ocean surface is changing, and at some point we start to see much more of those form display. This is a customization that I have introduced myself on the Bayes algorithm. It's not perfect, of course. Yeah, I'm not really sure if I like it or not, but it's an interesting effect anyway. And at least this is kind of simulating what you would see on the real ocean. So we can keep increasing the wind speed, and this will produce bigger and bigger waves. And yeah, we're actually now entering a territory which is outside of what was expected in the initial paper. And you see here that I still have kind of a limitation in this case, which is the displacement of the ocean surface, which is too big, and so this is just getting a bit outside of what was planned by the display. So I still need to work a little bit on this, but I think I can certainly find a way to improve on this point. And I was saying that yes, the value that we have here, 35 meters per second, is outside of what was allowed in the initial paper, and the limit value was I think 21 meters per second. But anyway, it's fun to just push that a little bit higher sometimes. So you can play with this slider and get different sea conditions. You will also notice that when you increase the wind speed, you have the foam display at the top of the waves, which is also controlled by this parameter, and if you reduce that, you get less and less of this white foam areas, but still you have a small effect, still noticeable at low speeds. Let's put that to some reasonable value and move a little bit higher. Next is the wind direction. This one is not really working as you would expect. I mean, it's controlling the wind direction, but really globally on the complete ocean surface. So you don't have a local control for the wind direction for the moment. I'm still trying to think about how we could achieve that, but yeah, that would come later. And if we change the wind direction, you will see that the complete ocean surface seems to be rotating, but still in the end it's an interesting effect. So you see that now the waves are moving in this direction, and you could put that, or maybe, yeah, going in this direction now. And one thing you may have noticed already is we have a special effect for the shore waves, and you see that this is visible on this side here with those white simulated waves, if you want. And I have implemented that so that it's going always in the same direction as the wind direction. So you have the waves going in this direction and you won't see them coming on this shore in this case. But if you change the wind direction to something going in the opposite direction, then now you have the waves on this side and you don't see them on this part of the shore, for instance. It's not perfect, of course, because you still have this wave simulation going here, for instance, or even in small lakes like this one, you still have those kind of waves. But yeah, it's a start anyway. Again, the display itself is using the same logic as for the foam display on the waves. So you have this high frequency noise, which is changing locally and moving at the same time, which kind of simulate foams on the sea. It's really not perfect, but as I said, that's just a first try for the moment. Okay, next we have the wave amplitude. So this one in the paper was noted as something that should in fact not be changed. So you should keep that to the value 1, but it's still interesting to modify that a little bit. So we can try to increase this, and you will see that the waves are getting higher, even if it's not really noticeable. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is when you increase the amplitude like that, you really want to reduce choppiness, because otherwise you get self-intersecting waves vertices at the top of the waves. So this effect is not very good. So you need to reduce that a little bit. I have explicitly capped the wave amplitude to 4 for the moment, but I was also trying to play with bigger values, and yeah, that's something that's producing basically the same effect as increasing the wind speed, but yeah, not really planned by the algorithm, so let's not move that too high. Also, if we increase the value here for the amplitude, it's going to modify the lighting, and it's producing higher diffusion of the sun lighting effect. So you see that here we're lighting on the surface, and if we reduce this value now, the lighting will be different. So that's probably something that would need to be checked in the implementation, because I don't think it should change so drastically. I'm not sure, in fact. And also, if you go to a lower value than 1, then you can get pretty flat ocean display. But you must be careful not to put that to 0, which is still a possibility here. And if we do that, oops, you get a perfect reflection of the sun. So that's certainly not realistic, and if you get close to the surface, you really don't see anything anymore, so not something we should use, I think. Let's put this back to 1 now. Okay, next one is the sea state. This one I don't think is very useful, but yeah, again, it's reducing the effect that you get with the wind, in fact. So you can increase that to get very small waves, but nothing going very high with the winds. I guess it's an interesting effect also, maybe in some cases. Alright, and then we have the choppiness. So this one is going to, yeah, as I said, you don't want to put that too high, otherwise you get this those inverted vertices, so not a proper display. And if you set that to 0, you get really just ordinary waves. And finally, we have the time scale. So this one is just going to control the speed of the simulation for the ocean. So you can just reduce that to 0, which is going to pause the simulation completely. So now you don't have any movement anymore in the waves. Or we can accelerate the time a bit, and it can go up to 2, for instance. Alright, so let's try to put that back to 1. There we go. And finally, what we can do is try to demonstrate the interaction with the light. So you see that when you move the sun around, the lighting on the ocean is reacting as expected. Oh, and another thing I didn't mention is on the display of the undersea surface itself. So when you're close to the ground, you can't see that very easily, but you will notice that when you're close to the shore, you see through the ocean surface itself, and you can see the ground underneath. So you have those different shades of blues, and we can probably reduce the wave intensity, the wave speed here. And if we reduce the sea state, then you see better through the surface. And in fact, if we go a bit higher, we can certainly notice that. Another point I need to mention maybe is on the introduction of the viewpoint management. So it's not really an official feature yet, but we have support for that, and you can use Control V to navigate in between the available viewpoints. So if I use Control V right now, it's giving me this viewpoint, then this one, next this one. And this location, in fact, I'm starting to give some names to those locations, and this one here is what I call the Angels Bay, I think. Yes, it must be this one. So Control V, this is a closer view, still on this Angel's Bay. Lighting is a bit too intense, so let's reduce that. Now Control V again, and we get to the default location where we're starting now, which is what I call the Phantom's Bay, because this is funny, but to me it looks like a phantom, or actually maybe this looks more like a fox or another animal, but yeah, I'm going to keep this name, the Phantom's Bay. And next another Control V, and that's a default view that we get when you start. And you can still use space to go back to the default space view of the full planet. And from there you see that we also have the ocean display as expected, and we even have the sun glare kind of visible in this area. So if we go closer, you will see that you have a complete transition from space view to local view. Where is this? I think this one is the Angel's Bay. Yep. And now let's try to find the Phantom's Bay. Where is it? It's a bit complicated to find that. I guess I should start from space again, and if I go here... Oh yes, it's here. Alright, so I think this is it guys for this quick overview on the ocean rendering system. As usual, if you have any comments on this, please let me know in the comments. And now for my part, I think I'm going to give the ocean part a break. I've been working quite a few days on this now, and I'm going to focus on the display of the trees and the vegetation on the ground part, because I think this is the next step that would make this world look much better again. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.